Hello to all of you watching here on ESPN FC Live. Kay Murray and Janusz Michallik to look back on Arsenal's win over Aston Villa. A 2-0 win it was. And considering the way things went last season against Villa for Arsenal, Janusz, everybody was looking at what would happen in today's game. This was a true test of Arsenal's title credentials. What did you make of what their statement was with that 2-0 win?
Well, it's great. I mean, we'll get into the details because it could have been different. But when you play away against Villa, we all know the record at home. We know the record against Arsenal last year. As you've mentioned, it's early in the season, so you don't have that rhythm just yet. Maybe your legs are not in it 100% for the season. But I think you almost have to say sensational win for them given the circumstance, because you know what? Manchester City have thrown the gauntlet, right? And you have to keep up with that. And to go away to Villa Park and survive to a degree, because they did a couple of chances from Ali Watkins that he's got to put away. Who knows how that game goes? But that's not what it's all about. You got to stay in the game, and when opportunities come, you have to punish the opponent. That's exactly what Arsenal did. And Kay, you know what? We knew Manchester City and Arsenal are going to fight it out. Liverpool may be there, they may not. We'll see. But look, I look at Arsenal, 2 games, 2 clean sheets, 5 goals scored, again, by committee.
Yeah, I want to talk to you about the goals, especially the first goal that came for Leandro Traores coming off the bench. In fact, it was his first touch. Tell me about the goal, and also tell me what you made of his celebration, or lack thereof of celebration, from Leandro Traores here.
I don't know. Maybe he's, he wants to play. I don't know. I mean, I feel that, every player wants to be on the pitch from the beginning. His role is off the bench. And by the way, I don't know what it meant. Maybe it meant absolutely nothing. But I do think that Leandro Traores is much better off the bench. He makes an impact. He's done it over the last season and already this season as well. Every time he starts, I'm not saying that he plays badly, but I just think that he's sort of that spark. Now, Leandro Traores would not want to hear that. He wants to play from the beginning, and I get that. But yes, the impact was again massive, and his substitution. I mean, there were a couple of chances after that where he played a big role with some great touches. I mean, I don't want to say he's changed the. Well, no, I do want to say he's changed the game, didn't he?
Absolutely. And then obviously it was a massive boost when Thomas Partey got the second goal. Pretty much knew then it was going to finish Arsenal's way for once against Villa.
Arsenal were what? I'm sorry.
Didn't get my connection might be a little bit rough today. I'm just saying once Thomas Partey's goal went in, I think we all pretty much knew that it was going to go Arsenal's way against Villa for once.
Well, yeah, and again, I mean, you saw, a couple of significant points, because a lot of players that I want to complain about, Martinelli and Thomas Partey, who I still don't think is the ideal player in the number 6. I thought he played a decent game, but given the Villa's press, especially in the midfield, there needs to be somebody different. Maybe Mikel Merino when he comes in, although he's not going to play in that number 6 role, but he may change because Arsenal is still unbalanced. But you know what Mikel Arteta is going to say. That second goal is important, but more importantly, Saliba and Jacob Ramsey. You saw that recovery and that sliding tackle. This is usually what managers go for. And you spoke about lack of reaction from Leandro Traores on that goal. You saw the reaction from Saliba once he made that. Not just his reaction, but reaction of the players, because they knew how important that win was so early in the season against a team that they've struggled with. So look, I mean, it's so early in the season. I am not looking for perfection from anybody, no team whatsoever in the second game of the season. That will come in time, but you have to look at that and wow, I mean, this win is going to go a long way in terms of confidence in that race that we're all anticipating.
Realistically speaking, though, Janusz, it did have to be a win today for Arteta's men, didn't it?
It did. I mean, the margins are going to be so small. Again, I was watching Manchester City commenting about it afterwards here on ESPN. And you look at Manchester City and everybody's wondering, well, how are they going to get motivated? Are they still hungry enough? We saw that in the first two games. Yes, today you can say it's Ipswich. They went behind, but they answered that. But of course, the first game away at Stamford Bridge, that was their Arsenal away to Villa, right? So it's a small line. I still think Manchester City squad is much deeper. They're better equipped to deal with all the competitions, and that includes, of course, the Premier League. And as we know, I think a couple weeks' time, right, Arsenal has to go to Manchester City. So today, I mean, all 3 points, that's massive. Even a draw, that's 2 points lost. Say Arsenal go to City and lose, that's 5 points early. We all know how tight this race has been. Last season, well, the season before was a little bit, I think it was 5 points. But Arsenal are obviously at a point where they now have to prove that they're good enough to be the champions of the Premier League.
Were you impressed with Urian Timber today?
Yeah, I think, I mean, there's great competition on that. That's not a position I worry about, right? I mentioned a little bit of lack of squad, at least if you compare Arsenal to Manchester City. That's not a position where I think Mikel Arteta worries about. That bench today, by the way, for Arsenal wasn't formidable. That's why I kind of quietly mentioned the depth. I know Mikel Arteta, Gabriel Jesus are going to come, but on that side you have Kivior Zinchenko, you have Timber, you have Calafiori. I mean, you had 3 center backs / left backs, and if you add Tomiyasu, who can also play there and actually often plays better on the left side than right side, that's not a position that you worry about. However, for Timber, it was very, very good. Him coming inside, as most left fullbacks at Arsenal have to do at times. Didn't do it a whole game, but I thought tactically he was superb. It's going to take him a little bit of time, but I think, Kay, you and I didn't have to really worry about Timber, because I do remember him even before he came into Arsenal, from his games in Holland and for Holland, how intelligent he was.
Absolutely. So let's stick more with the Arsenal squad, as you have been talking about, and let's talk about Gabriel Jesus and his fitness problems. Obviously, we're seeing it once again today. This has got to be frustrating for all parties, Janusz.
It is, because even when healthy, I think, he's an honest worker. He's going to give you a goal here and there, an assist, and, he's going to cause problems. But again, we are talking about such a small margin for Arsenal to win it, right? And even today, as I've mentioned, I mean, Ali Watkins puts away one of those 2 chances, and who knows where this game goes. Raya, incredible on that header. Obviously, how he saved that point blank, I still don't know. But for me, that's an issue, because Gabriel Jesus needs to be pushing Havertz. Neither of them is absolutely prolific, and that's the difference, right? Because best teams for me have a superstar or couple superstars. When needed, they always deliver, or almost always deliver. We see that with Erling Haaland. I mentioned that because these 2 teams fight against each other. What he's doing already. You can go, I don't know, Bayern Munich with Harry Kane. You can go Inter with Lautaro Martinez. You could go, I was going to say Barca and Lewandowski, although, I mean, he's scoring, but he's maybe not at his best. Liverpool has Mo Salah. You can sort of count on them, and you don't feel that, with Arsenal. And normally I wouldn't mention, because they've scored enough goals last season by a committee, but when that stops, and often it does, and they can score 90 goals, but it's that 1 or 2 or 3 games where you just need somebody that's absolutely lethal, right? I often or sometimes complain about Erling Haaland. Not a lot of touches, not involved in the game, but when the time comes, when it's important, he puts it away. So that is my issue with Arsenal, because this is a team that's going to want to fight for all trophies right now. But most importantly, I think the biggest of them all is the Premier League trophy. If not now, when?
So you're saying Kai Havertz can't score 20 goals this season for Arsenal?
He may be, but is that going to be enough? Is 20 enough? When you have a counterpart in Manchester City that scores 40 every season, just about. So again, it could be enough. Last year, as I said, defensively, Arsenal, the best team in the league. In terms of scoring goals, they scored plenty, and they came up short. So this is just, in general, I think they're good enough. They have proven it that they can play. They can challenge Manchester City, but I don't know if. Yeah, I mean, if I had to say, would I guarantee that Kai Havertz scores 20 goals in the season? No, I wouldn't put my house on that.
Just going back, as you've mentioned it a few times, on the Villa side of things, and Ollie Watkins with that miss, and obviously one of them was a big save as well from Raya. He's got to be kicking himself after this game, though. Unai Emery too.
Yeah, well, but that's the difference. Even talking about Arsenal, and look, it's just 2 games. But what if? And I've talked about it before the season. Just looking at Aston Villa. What if Ollie Watkins doesn't score the number of goals that he scored last year? Already 2 games, no goals. Again, just 2 games. He can get going at any given time, but sometimes that's what happens, and your team suffers. So if you look at Villa, they've done everything. I mean, discipline-wise and tactically in the center of the pitch, I thought Villa were excellent, especially in the first half. In the second half, just as much. They made Arsenal look predictable, which wasn't a big problem because obviously Arsenal liked their game in wide areas. Arsenal still unbalanced and much more dangerous, I think, on the right-hand side than they are on the left. I think Mikel Merino is going to change that. But for Villa, couple losses. Look, the pressure for Aston Villa is much different than the one for Arsenal. They won't admit that, but it's true. Aston Villa will not be winning the Premier League title. They just got to make sure that they continue to stay in the top 4. So I don't worry about Villa after what I saw today because it was very, very impressive, and it could have very easily been an Aston Villa win. However, the jury's still out if they're as good as they were last season. I'll wait for that.
Okay, but I'm going to ask you very, very early, just to wrap up here today. Is it too early to say that this is a statement win for Arsenal?
Well, it is a statement win for Arsenal, for sure, that nothing has changed. Normal service has resumed, right? There's no drop-off whatsoever. 2 games, 2 wins. I'll repeat again, 2 clean sheets, very good defensively, great goalkeeping, and already 5 goals scored on the season. So, yes, it's a statement. We're here. We're ready to fight Manchester City for the title.
Yep, and we will be here every single week, more than once a week, talking about everything that's going on in the Premier League title race. Thank you so much for being with us for another edition of ESPN FC Live.